My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that is not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, know I'll find you in my dreams. My heart rages around like an ocean in my head. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that is not reality. If you are
Alright guys, I'm not sure if you can even see me right now. It's still kind of dark. So today I kind of wanted to just go over a video of my story and who I am. So right now I'm on my way to school. I'm a college student full-time right now, so doing that jazz. I'm probably going to get back to you and finish this once I get back to the campus. That way you can probably see me. It'll be a little brighter outside, so I'll catch you then. Alright, so things didn't exactly go according to plan. My second class got canceled for some weird reason, so my next one doesn't start until 2. So I planned on, doing this whole thing within the break in between, but now I'm just going to go home because there's no point in me sitting here for 5 hours until my next class. So I'm going to catch you guys back at my house, and I'm going to try and wrap this up. Alright guys, so I'm back. Not going to lie to you, I was a little lazy. Instead of doing this at home, I took kind of a nap and then had to come back to school. So now I have a couple minutes to kill before class, so I figured I'd bang this out right now. My name's George, so I kind of been saying Jeepopolis, whatever. Real name's George. I'm sorry if you hear that train behind me, but so this is my story. We're gonna start I guess shortly after I got my license, because my first vehicle was a Jeep, but it wasn't a Wrangler. I had an 04 WJ that I did absolutely nothing to until I changed the radio in it like any old high school kid. And about a week after I changed the radio in it, she got totaled. An old woman blew a stop sign, and I ended up T-boning her, and that was the end of that Jeep. After that is really kind of when I fell in love with modding out vehicles and making them my own, and that was with my second Jeep, and it was an 05 WK. With that Jeep, I didn't even do anything too crazy to it. I put like a brush guard on it, a 2.5-inch spacer lift, like 31-inch tires, and a CB radio. Like, it wasn't too much, but I loved that Jeep. And that kind of brings us to when I got into the world of modding Jeeps and Wranglers and everything, because it was at that time that I decided that I was going to join the Marine Corps. So I ended up serving 4 years in the infantry, and I did 2 deployments. And so how I kind of ended up getting into it is the recruiter I was talking to, he was really into Jeeps, and he had a 97 TJ, I believe. It was 4-screen, and that thing was mean. It was a fantastic looking Jeep. He still has it to this day, actually. I keep in contact with the guy. He's a good guy. But, yeah, he had a 5.7 in it. We wheeled the crap out of that thing. He taught me how to drive manual. That was the first manual vehicle I'd ever driven in my life. And, that really opened my eyes to the world of Jeeps and the community and everything. And I instantly fell in love with it. So after that, I go to boot camp and I come back. And when I come back from boot camp, I had a 10-day period where I was back at home. And within that 10 days, the transmission went on my WK. So I obviously had to leave again. So I left to go to my MOS school, the School of Infantry. And I had my dad sell my Grand Cherokee for, I think I got like $5,000 for it. Maybe something like that. I couldn't tell you exactly what I got, but I remember being really excited to it because I wanted to get a Wrangler. My dream was to get a Wrangler. So after the School of Infantry, I found out I was going to 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines. This was back in 2013. And it was right to turn into 2014. I got out of my infantry school in October. And I found out I was going to 1-2. It was also at this time I found out 1-2 was going to Afghanistan. And as a 19-year-old kid, you're kind of just like, well, okay. Because you kind of, you expect it to happen, and you're kind of excited for it, because this is what you signed up for. You went to fight, you wanted to go over there. And it's also extremely surreal, because it's one of those things where it's like, everything was dying down, and very few people are actually still getting sent over there, so you're thinking of the odds and how astronomical it is that you're actually going. And it was at this point in time I found out that we were set to deploy, I think, 4 or 5 months from then. So it wasn't a whole lot of time to get to know the guys, and it was definitely a lot going on through my head at that point in time. So, fast forward, I end up deploying, and throughout the time of pre-deployment to the deployment after the deployment, it was probably one of the wildest rides of my life. You meet some of the craziest people ever, and you make friends for a lifetime. And as a matter of fact, just this morning, I was talking to one of the guys today. We had a nice, solid, half-hour-long conversation as we were both driving to different locations, and he lives somewhere in South Carolina. But, yeah. So, it was somewhere throughout that time, I was like, I want a Wrangler, I want a 2-door, and I want it to be brand new, because used Wranglers, you don't know. You could have the high school kid who had no idea what he was doing, it was a project car, and then it's destroyed. You can't use it, there's nothing you can do. So, I was talking to my buddy, I'll use his first name, that way, there's no way you can really figure it out. His name was Ethan. So me and Ethan are shooting the shit, and I keep on showing him all these Jeeps and all this sick stuff. And we're just having hours upon hours of conversation on post in the middle of the desert for hours and hours a day, just talking about the most random things in the world. And we always came back to the Jeep. So, I did end up coming back from that deployment, and when I did, I put in an order. Well, actually, this is kind of a funny story. While I was still over there, I had my parents put in an order for a brand new JK. I believe it was August time frame when they actually put in the order, and I came home early November or something like that. I could be mistaken. It's been years, and you forget. So my parents actually put in the order under a power of attorney that I gave them, and I sent them emails, you know, spec'd out exactly this way. This is what I want. I need you guys to do this. Don't take any, like, BS. Just, this is what I want. Get it. So they're like, okay. So they went and ordered the Jeep for me. I wanted a black 2-door JK with a 6-speed manual transmission, and I'll probably insert a picture of it somewhere around here. Now, once I got that Jeep, I always loved working on cars, so I wanted to start a YouTube channel of building it. And sadly, with op-tempo, always going to the field, it never happened. Doing anything like that while within the military is extremely hard to do when you're in the infantry. Because you'll be working from 6 a.m. on a normal day to anywhere from 3 to 9 o'clock at night. It's really unpredictable. And then there's also the periods when you go to the field while you're training, ready for another deployment, and you're in the field for 15 to 20 days at a time, and there's just absolutely no way you can feasibly swing both. So that's kind of the route I ended up going, and I didn't really document the build of that Jeep as much as I wanted to. Fast forward to my second deployment, and then some time after I got out, it was 2017, and I still had my 2-door JK. I loved that Jeep. It broke my heart a little bit getting rid of it, but I decided on getting out of the Marine Corps because it was just, I loved it, but peacetime Marine Corps was not my, it was not my forte. Didn't like people babysitting me, pretty much. So that came around time for me to start college, which is kind of where I am now. So this was last year at this time. I decided to start school. I had no idea how to do it. I'd never applied for college before in my life. So I was kind of a goose out of water. And my buddy Zach ended up getting out around the same time as me. So I text him, I'm like, yo, dude, let's go to college. Let's do this thing. We'll use the GI Bill. It'll pay for us, pay our bills, so, you know, we won't have to worry too much, and we can kind of figure out things as we go. So he's like, all right, screw it. I got nothing better to do, so why not? So we both start trying to figure out the process of how to apply for college, and I'm making phone calls, talking to admissions, and we eventually get into Bridgewater State University here in Massachusetts. So we get in, and that summer goes by. We start in the fall of 2017, and right around that time is when the big talk of the JL was coming. And I was like, man, I'm really excited for this Jeep. You know, it's gonna be awesome. So I see it at the LA Auto Show, and I was like, this thing's ugly. I hated it. I hated the lights in the fenders. I hated the grill. I hated the stupid spoiler they have on the hardtop. It was just, I didn't like it. I didn't like how they, the red dash on the interior on the Rubicons. Something just irked me wrong about it. And then I sat on it for a little bit. About a month goes by, and I was like, wow, you know what? Those things look pretty good. I started liking them. They grew on me. And when they grew on me, a girl that I had talked to for a little bit, she hit me up. She worked at a Jeep dealership as a salesperson. She knew I loved Jeeps. She sends me a text message one day with a picture of a white Sahara that's getting pulled into their showroom, and it was a JL. And I was like, yo, you know you're letting me test drive that, right? And she's like, it's in the showroom. I'll let you know when we get the next one. I was like, all right, sweet. I'm still coming to look at it. So I go and look at it, and I immediately fell in love, and I started trying to find a way that I could afford a JL. Now, I had a Sport for my JK, and I was like, look, I'm not doing this unless I get a Rubicon, because it doesn't make sense to me. At least that way I get lockers, I get 44s front and rear, you know, that kind of stuff. So I ended up making it work. So I ordered the Jeep, and when I ordered the Jeep, I had to figure out what to do with my JK because I had a lot of parts on it. So the first video I ever made actually was with my iPhone, and it was me sitting in front of my JK talking about why I'm going from a JK to a JL, and you guys never saw that video. Partially because I never uploaded it. I was kind of afraid. Well, not necessarily afraid, but I didn't know where to start. So I did that video. That never went anywhere. And then I did another one of me taking parts off of my JK to sell to put money towards parts for the JL. And it was around this time that I started listening to the Drinkin' Bros podcast. Now, the Drinkin' Bros podcast is probably one of the best things that I ever found. And I don't want to say I found it. It was actually my buddy Zach, who's in college with me, that turned me onto it. So this is a bunch of veterans, LEOs, and like-minded individuals. You don't have to be a veteran or LEO. LEO is a law enforcement officer, so for those of you who don't know. So it's a podcast centered around people like that who just have similar interests, and we're all vulgar individuals, and just to laugh. And it's actually a group on Facebook as well, meant to like bring the community together, and that no one ever drinks alone. So I started listening to that, and these guys, some of them started making it big on YouTube before they ended up doing the Drinkin' Bros podcast, and they became entrepreneurs, starting several other companies. And one of the biggest pieces of advice that they have spit out like 10 or 15 times, if not more than that, is just do it. And I guarantee you every other YouTuber would also say this. It's just do it. Get the first one out of the way and upload it. Because when you upload it, that's when you're going to start looking for ways to improve that. And it doesn't matter how bad your first video is, because everyone after that's going to be an improvement. So that's kind of why I decided to start, or how I ended up actually starting the channel. I had a difficult time looking for ideas for the name. My buddy kind of helped out with that, because it's similar to my last name. I like Jeeps. And then Opolis also means city in Greek, so Jeep City. Alright, cool, I can get behind that. It's not a bad idea. So that kind of brings us up to where we are right now. I just kind of wanted to give you guys some insight on my life. And, yeah. I don't know, maybe this brought up more questions than it answered, but feel free to ask in the comment section below if, you want to know something that I didn't share. I'm a pretty open person, so by all means, I'd love to share with you guys. So, if you like this video, I'm going to end it here. Like and subscribe, please. Share if you ever wish, and leave some information in the comment section below. I like to hear what you guys say. So, take care.